The birth of Jesus. In ancient times, the prophets predicted that God would come to earth to save mankind. They also predicted that he would be born of a virgin. They named the place and time of his birth. They told people about his suffering and miraculous resurrection. At that time, the Roman Emperor, Augustus, issued a decree to make a list of all the people of the lands under his control. He wanted to know how many subjects he had, how old they were, and how many men were fit for military service. That's why every person had to be recorded in the census in his or her hometown. Joseph and Mary lived in Nazareth, and since his family had come from Bethlehem, they went there to be recorded. They arrived in Bethlehem late in the evening. Joseph and Mary couldn't find an empty room in the inn since a lot of people had gathered in the town to be counted in the census. Joseph and Mary found a cave where shepherds sometimes corralled their sheep for the night. The travelers were so tired after the journey that they were glad to have this place to stay instead of spending the night out in the open. At night, in the cave, Mary gave birth to the long-promised Savior of the world, Jesus Christ. The place where the Savior was born wasn't a royal palace. There wasn't even a place for him in an ordinary house. The Son of God was born in a damp and cold cave. They swaddled him and put him into a manger, a cattle trough. And so the prophecy about the Son of God being born in Bethlehem was fulfilled. That same night, in a field near Bethlehem, shepherds lit a fire and sat around it to get warm. It was very dark. Suddenly, it turned as bright as day. An angel of God appeared to the shepherds and said, "Don't be afraid of me. I bring you good news of great joy. Today the Savior was born in Bethlehem, and this will be a sign for you. You will find the baby in swaddling clothes, lying in a manger in a damp cave." Then the angel returned to heaven, and it turned dark again. The shepherds immediately went to Bethlehem. There, in the cave, they found Joseph, the Virgin Mary, and the divine child lying in a manger. The shepherds fell on their knees and bowed to him. They told how the angel appeared to them. On the way home, the shepherds told everyone that the Savior had been born. Before Christmas, a unique, bright star appeared in the sky, which certain wise men from the east noticed. These wise men were called Magi. And since at that time people were looking for the coming of the Messiah, the Magi realized that it was his star. They realized that a king had been born. The star, moving across the sky, led them to Jerusalem. The Magi knew that the Savior would be born in the Jewish land, but they thought that he would certainly be a powerful king. King Herod heard that some people from distant lands had come to Jerusalem, asking where the King of the Jews had been born. Herod was very afraid that this king would take away his kingdom. So he called the Magi secretly and asked them about the exact time when Christ had been born. As the Magi left, he said, "Go and find out everything about the baby, and then tell me, since I want to worship him too." When the Magi left Jerusalem, they saw again the wonderful star that led them to Bethlehem and rested right over the house where the baby was. On entering the house, the Magi fell on their knees and bowed to Jesus Christ, King and God. They gave him gold, frankincense, and myrrh as gifts. Then God told the Magi in a dream not to go back to Herod, so they chose another way to go home.